We all have individual targets for individual disciplines, but when it comes to swimming, the 400-meter mark is a really popular goal, and it falls into that category of middle distance swimming.
Yeah, and today we are focusing on getting that time in under 8 minutes for 400 meters.
Let's take a look at the basic numbers. It's quite a nice simple sum because you've got 8 minutes, 400 meters, and that works out nicely as 2 minutes per 100. But obviously we want to go under that barrier, so you need to take off 1 to 2 seconds per 100 as your target pace.
Well, that sounds nice and simple. What are you waiting for? Let's get going. Obviously, we're joking. Of course, you probably had already figured out the paces required to go sub-8 for 400. So with that in mind, you're probably wondering how to train for this. Well, within reason, the more swimming, the better, and the quicker the rate of improvement. But realistically, targeting around 2 to 3 swims per week is probably a good idea. Ideally 3, that way you can do 1 day on, 1 day off, and then 2 days off in a row, and then repeat through.
Yeah, well, as a structure, it's a good idea to look at 3 sort of different types of sessions. So you want to work on drills and technique for one of your sessions in the week. Another session needs to be focusing on endurance and trying to go a little bit further. And then the third session needs to be shorter, sort of faster work. And you could obviously plan it around whatever training or pool availability you have. But an example would be start off the week with a nice sort of chunky endurance session. And then a couple of days later, you can fit in your drills and your technique. And then towards the end of the week, put in your shorter, sharper work.
Well, let's take a look at some example sessions and how to progress from there.
If you want to get under 8 minutes for 400 meters, you are going to need to really work on that aerobic base. And this is going to require more meters in the pool, but the good news is it's going to be at a lower intensity. So you're going to be working on reps from 100 meters up to 600 or even 800 meters in distance. And that might sound quite daunting, but it's going to be necessary for when you come to doing your actual timed event. You'll have that confidence you can do it, but you'll also have that increased base fitness, which is essential. And if you do start to struggle on these or you want a little bit of help, there's nothing wrong in using some fins or a pool buoy or neoprene shorts for some of these sessions, but just make sure you don't become reliant because you obviously can't use that when it comes to the test. Okay, we've got an example session for you here, but it is just an example, so use it as a bit of a structure and a base and feel free to adapt, making it shorter or longer depending on where you are right now. So for the warm-up, it's simply 3 lots of 100 meters of whatever stroke you like, nice and easy, with 10 to 15 seconds rest between each 100. Then for the main set, this is all going to be at a comfortable pace, so around a 6 out of 10 for perceived effort. And you're going to do 100 meters, 20 seconds rest. 300 meters, 30 seconds rest. 500 meters, 40 seconds rest. Then back down to 300 meters, 30 seconds rest. And 100 meters with 20 seconds rest, all rolled up with a cool down of 100 meters easy, giving you a total of 2,100 meters. Well, I expect you can see the pattern in that session. It is a pyramid, but feel free to change the distances or keep it like that and maybe do it another time through. The idea is to try and maintain the same pace throughout. So your 100 meters should be at the same pace as the 500, which means it might feel quite easy to start with, but really be aware of that because it's going to help with your pacing when it comes to the event later on. If you are really struggling with these, then do feel free to use aids like I mentioned.
Now, the more you practice something, the more ingrained it becomes, and that means that technique work should be high on the agenda. So dedicating some time to working on your technique is a really good way of improving your efficiency as a swimmer and ultimately allowing you to get after that sub 8 minute 400 and improving your swim performance. So have a standalone technique session can be a really good way of improving and working on that technique, that good form, without necessarily having to worry about fatigue so much. That doesn't mean you can't include technique work into some of your other sessions, perhaps into the warm-up or warm-down. Now, in terms of actual technique workouts, I'm going to give you an example session here, but it is hard to give you a workout that works for every one of you out there because obviously you all have different weaknesses and strengths. But we've given you a relatively generic program here that should be useful for everyone. Of course, feel free to swap out any of the drills should you feel the need. So obviously with a good warm-up and warm-down, we've got a main set of 3 lots of 100 meters. There's 25 meters single arm, left arm, 25 meters full stroke, 25 meters single arm right arm, 25 meters full stroke with 15 seconds rest between each of the reps. Then into 3 lots of 50 meters, just perfect stroke, focusing on really good technique with 10 seconds rest. Then into 6 lots of 50 meters as 15 meters scull into full stroke for the rest of the length with 10 seconds rest between each of the reps. Then 100 meters freestyle, really good form, really good technique, and then finishing with 6 lots of 100 meters as 25 meters fist drill, 25 meters catch up, 50 meters full stroke. And if you need any more rest between any of the technique specific parts, please do take that. And of course, feel free to use a snorkel or pool buoy if that helps. And equally the same goes for fins.
You might be surprised to hear that you need to do some speed work because obviously 8 minutes isn't exactly going to be an effort at a sprint intensity. However, swimming some pace quicker than 2 minutes per 100 meters is going to help your stroke become that much more efficient, but also give you that confidence that you can swim faster. So when it comes to doing the 400 meters, the pace will feel just that much more comfortable. So when it comes to the session, it is going to be that much shorter, but you need to come prepared to work hard. So for the warm-up, it's a 200 meter nice and steady, followed by 2 lots of this, of 3 times 50 meters as 150 meter easy, 150 meter of really quite a strong pace, and then the last 50 meters going really hard. Take 15 seconds rest after each of those 50. So it's a total of 6. Then your main set. You have 4 lots of 25 meters, doing the odd numbers as fast as you can go. So number 1 and number 3, 20 seconds rest after each. Then you've got 50 meters with 50 seconds being your target to hit, and then take 30 seconds rest after that. Now we're back to 25s. 6 lots of 25 meters. Again, the odd numbers as fast as you can go with 20 seconds rest. Then 100 meters, with your target this time being 1 minute 45 for that 100 meters, taking 45 seconds of rest, followed by 8 lots of 25 meters, odd ones fast again, 20 seconds rest, finished with 150 meters at a target of 2 minutes 40 seconds for that total with 60 seconds rest. And then a super easy 200 meter cool down, and that's only a total of 1,250 meters. Well, as you can see, it's much shorter than the other sessions, but that's because the focus is really on quality. So if you do have a chance to be rested going into it, you'll get more out of it. And as you get stronger, you can increase the length of the main set or even repeat the main set through again.
Well, that's the hard work done. How about the pacing? Well, in the ideal world, you'd obviously consistently pace it 159 per 100 and job's done. In reality though, we all know quite often we tend to go a little bit too hard in that first 100, and that's actually fine, but just make sure you're not burning all your matches in that first 100. Keep a cap on it, perhaps around that 155 per 100 mark, and then settling down into that 159 pace. And hopefully after following all these sessions, by this point, you'll be nicely dialed into that pace.
Yeah, I think that leaves us to say good luck with it. If you do want more tips for working on technique or more session ideas, then I'd recommend checking out the rest of our swim content over on GTN. So if you haven't yet done so, I'd recommend subscribing to us. If you like this video, give us a like, and you can also follow us on our social media.